Chapter 19, Nutrition Education. So nutrition education, children can begin to learn fundamental nutrition concepts, including growth and health, and the fact that they're dependent on having access to healthy, nutrient-dense foods. Nutrients are obtained from food. A variety of foods must be consumed to get all the nutrients needed for healthy growth and development. And food safety and sanitation are especially critical as they relate to young children. So families can participate in this process too. Family involvement in children's nutrition education is essential to achieving success. And so think about what this statement means and why it's true. In what ways can schools get families more involved in children's nutrition education? Explore this topic more by looking at page 488 of your text. Children's nutrition education. Teachers have many opportunities to weave nutrition education throughout children's daily learning experiences. So describe how teachers can achieve this goal. Explain how children benefit from this approach and what other developmental areas can be reinforced through nutrition education experiences. So some basic considerations. Learning experiences should be developmentally appropriate. They should have reasonable expectations regarding the averages of development by age, and then consider individual development. Real food should be used in activities whenever possible, but make sure you check for allergies. Only nutrient-dense foods should be used in learning experiences. You should avoid using things like M&Ms, marshmallows, Skittles, things like that. Children can't afford those empty calories. Children should be able to eat the end product. And children learn best when they participate in the preparing the food and cooking it. So principles of instructional design. Select a topic. Choose topics that are developmentally appropriate based on the children's interests and are respectful of cultural differences. Develop long-range plans that build children's understanding and skills, and utilize the concept of scaffolding, which is knowing the skill level the children are at, knowing what is the next step, and then facilitating and supporting them to that next step. And take advantage of teachable moments when the opportunities present themselves. So develop measurable objectives to guide content and organization, identify expected outcomes, help in deciding how a topic should be presented, and evaluate the lesson's effectiveness in achieving its measurable objectives. So you could utilize Bloom's taxonomy of learning, and this is an approach where you categorize and measure learning. Because actually you cannot measure learning itself. That's not something that's behavioral. It's an abstract concept, but we can utilize these measurable objectives available in Bloom's taxonomy of learning. So there are 6 levels of learning. Remembering is the lowest level, understanding is the second, applying the third, analyzing the fourth, the 5th is evaluating, and the highest level of learning is creating. So objectives tell us how will we know that the children learned from this activity. And you can see as you look at each of these columns, you'll see that these are measurable verbs that we can directly observe the children being successful at. For example, under remembering, they can list things. Under understanding, they can discuss things. Under applying, they can demonstrate. Under analyzing, they can compare. Under evaluating, they can predict, and under creating, they can develop. So principles of instruction, more principles of instructional design. Consider the children's safety. Always check for the children's food allergies. Teachers and children must wash their hands before starting an edible project. Avoid using foods that are choking hazards like hot dogs or raw carrots. Always have children sit down to eat. Use only unbreakable equipment. Avoid sharp objects that can injure the children, and provide enough equipment so that the children do not have to wait. Consider and select instructional methods. Make sure you reflect the children's developmental interests and abilities. Focus on only one main concept or objective, and take children's attention spans into account and are appropriate for presenting content in a limited amount of time. Involve children in the hands-on activities. Consider what instructional methods would be engaging and effective to use with infants, with toddlers, with preschool-age children, and with school-age children. With infants and toddlers, it would make sense to incorporate the instruction or the methods by carrying out the learning experience during the care periods of the day. For preschool children, you'd want to involve them in actually carrying out the experiences and focus on their sensory skills. For school-age children, they can be more independent in carrying out the learning experiences. So evaluation of your instructional design should be ongoing, should be based on measurable objectives. It should assess the effectiveness of all aspects of the learning experience, and it should yield information that can be used for improvement. So informational sources that influence children's eating habits. What are these? Where do children typically learn about food and nutrition? And how do these sources influence children's eating habits?